welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I'm other host, Nessa.
And I'm the other host, Drew.
So let's start out by bringing attention to the unfortunate news that happened yesterday in regards to
Adam Johnson. So yesterday, actually, it caught my attention. I was just kind of scrolling through Twitter. Hockey Fights UK had posted something from the Nottingham Panthers over in the UK about the ice and the fans being cleared out for a extremely serious medical emergency. Started digging around, and it turns out that Adam Johnson, which is now it's pretty widely reported this morning, 29 years old. He's playing in his 7th game over in the EIHL this year. An unfortunate collision. It was kind of an open ice hit. Player came up, got airborne. The skate blade caught him in his throat. They did report that he had a pulse in the ambulance last night, but he unfortunately did not make it. He passed away from the injury that he got. There's kind of one of those weird freak accidents in hockey. He was a Pittsburgh Penguins prospect. He spent a couple years between the AHL and the NHL in the Penguins organization. When I was looking him up on Elite Prospects last night, this is, like I said, he only played 7 games over in the EIHL this year, unfortunately, when this happened last night.
Yeah, when I saw this last night, mostly what I was seeing was some reactions to people who felt that it was very insensitive for people to be reposting any sort of footage related to that. Like, obviously, I don't, use your imagination. It was pretty bad, and if you're looking for some, gore porn, tragedy, other people are not. They're, and I don't know, I'm trying to, put together my thoughts as this kind of just all sort of unfolded rather quickly from when I saw it to what I woke up to this morning. And I guess one of the things that came to mind is, I guess maybe from my own experience of going out there and playing, and people when they find out that I play ice hockey, they're just like, oh, you're so tough. Oh, it's such a, they put ice hockey in such a tough, pedestal, when I guess I can see that, but then also I would not play this game if I didn't have all that gear,
Right.
I don't even like going to public skate because I feel so naked. And when I fall, I'm just like, oh, God, ice. It's just
So cold.
It's just everything hurts versus when you fall in a game. Obviously there's no checking and things like that, but when you fall on the ice, you just plop right back up because you've got cushion and all this stuff. But specifically, when I started playing in net, one of the first things I bought when I got everything else was I got the dangler.
Yeah.
And every time I see a goalie playing without one, it never escapes me. I just continue to think about everything that could go wrong by not having that.
That's my big thing, to be honest, my big takeaway from this, because it's the wildest thing, right? I seen the news when it first happened, and at the time, the only thing that was out there on Twitter was people actually that were there that witnessed the event, and they were like, it was horrific. If you see a video or footage, don't watch it. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Clint Mawerchuk, who was, I believe, the Sabres goalie. I think he played for the Sabres. Yeah. He took a skate blade to the neck. He lived. So when I was looking at the situation this morning, from what I can find, there's only been one other hockey player, a 10th grader, last January, that was killed on the ice from a similar incident. He was on the ice in a scrum. Player couldn't stop. He cut him in the neck, and he was a sophomore player at a high school in Connecticut. He unfortunately lost his life. So like thinking about it, I'm like, I think everybody in the back of everybody's mind, it's a possibility, but it's just not something that happens every game. But the only thing that I can think of is like, we need those neck protectors. Like we need the skate guards, the danglers. That there needs to be, I think, some sort of protection there. And I get every player is not going to be down for that, but you think like, I mean, yeah, freak accident, but would protection have otherwise prevented this from happening? Because I've only seen, unfortunately, I did see a clip of the video, but I didn't see the whole video. I just seen the initial collision that led to it. And it's a really innocuous hockey player. Like it's, you see it every game. So it's just one of those weird things. It's like, could protection have helped here? It makes it really a lot of questions on my mind, quite honestly, following this Adam Johnson thing. Tough day for hockey for sure.
Yeah. Just my initial thoughts on it. Seeing posts, and a lot of people I follow on Twitter seem to be very empathetic and stuff, or they'll repost, retweet things that are, again, very empathetic. But things that I saw going around is like, yeah, have them a family in your prayers and your thoughts and everything, but also consider the player who was a part of that incident, whose skate was the one that caught him, because that's traumatic. Like,
yeah,
he inadvertently killed someone, like not his intention, and you can only imagine the horrors that he's like going through in his own head. Like, oh my God, it's all my fault. When really it's like, it's not something he could have controlled.
I seen Nathan Petgrave was the other guy involved in the collision, and there was apparently some fans that were sending like hate his way last night too, which I think is just incredibly wild. I mean, like you said, he unfortunately was a part of something that took the life of another player doing the thing that they both loved, and it's a freak accident. I don't think Petgrave is to blame at all for this. I mean, and like I said, the initial collision that led to it just looks like any other hockey play. Guy gets flipped, guy goes through the air. Happens however many times a period, right? So I think it's wild that people are sending Petgrave hate. I think it's like just super, like clown conversation. Get back in your clown car and get off the air.
For sure. So Jumbo officially announces his retirement. We saw it coming, but he was still hanging around, and he's still going to be hanging around. Apparently, I think he's just going to be here. And yeah, he spent over a decade with the Sharks. It was a good time in Sharks history, and enjoyed watching him play and the camaraderie that he had with the players off the ice. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the cup. But I think it's cool that he's going to be hanging around here and interjecting some of that that knowledge and love for the game and for San Jose.
Quinn talked about, or someone had asked Quinn about where Jumbo Joe is going to be like within the organization. Like he asked him if he was going to be able to play another year or be a part of the organization in some way. And he was like, no, there's no way I'm playing again. And like, I don't think he wants to be a part of like the decision making or anything within the Sharks right now. He's just hanging around and having a good time.
And that's what we kind of need. We need the vibes. I think there's benefits to having the previous Sharks players like within the organization at like that type of level of like coaching and things like that. But like, Jumbo's just like a positive energy to have around the rink, and I think that's fine.
I don't have any bad thoughts about Jumbo Joe. I mean, I love playing against him, and I think it's awesome that he's planning to stick around and hang out with the organization. It was one of the coolest things as a Canucks fan, seeing guys like Henrik and Daniel come back and contribute. So obviously those guys are like built for coaching. So whatever role Jumbo ends up in the Sharks organization, probably be the best one for him. So it's really cool to see him, like I said, I love playing. As a matter of fact, there was like 4 goals scored in Rogers Arena, and somebody was like, when Joe Thornton finds out somebody scores 4 goals and he's not there to properly celebrate.
The rooster trick. That's what we call it.
I love it.
Dude, there was this game they played against the Bruins. I think it might have been his last year in San Jose. He got a hat trick and everyone was so excited. Is this the day that he gets his rooster trick? It didn't happen.
What a guy! What a guy!
Legend.
That's his yeah, that's his legacy, the rooster trick.
I love it. Listen, I think that most hockey fans are kind of at this point, especially with the NHL, that they're tired of the outdoor games. I personally like the outdoor games. What I'm tired of is seeing like the same 7 teams compete in the outdoor games. Yeah. I mean, I won't bring up that one time they tried to do it in Texas, and we all know what that turned into, literal pond hockey. But I mean, like, I don't know, switch it up. You don't have to do anything extreme. Don't move the outdoor games to Dallas. But listen, I get tired of seeing the Battle of Alberta posted everywhere, especially as a Canucks fan. Like,
Not just that. Oh, the original 6 teams. I don't care. I don't care about them.
am I an original
That
6
happened.
fan? No.
It happened like 100 years ago. Get over it.
Stop bringing up old shit.
And then when they ask players, "What's it like to play for original 6 team?" "Oh, it's great because tradition." I don't care.
Like, none of y'all have read the history books that outlay the traditions and times of your historical original 6 franchise. Get out of here with that. I think it's cool. Will I watch it? Probably if I want background noise, but so, I don't know.
Honestly, I feel like the promotion for it hasn't even been great because even before we started recording, I was like, did it happen already?
That's how I felt, though. I was like, oh, there's an outdoor game this weekend? Like, no marketing. Zero. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, they don't usually have it this early in the season, do they?
I don't think so. I think most of the time they're around, like, New Year's. It's
Yeah.
all, like, Winter Classic adjacent.
Yeah, it's just weird timing, I guess.
Well,
Give me a Canucks Kraken outdoor game, and I'm so there.
Oh, I would go to one of those.
Well,
But I'm a Kraken fan, so
I like
Kraken
the marketing.
stan.
I guess my thoughts on it, yeah, like I didn't even realize it was coming up until like a couple of days ago because the media was like, look, McDavid is back. And I was like,
He's hurt. No,
oh,
he's
he's out on the ice. Oh, it's outdoors. Oh, are they having an outdoor game? Like I think the same thing happened last season. I didn't even realize that they were having like an outdoor, I think it was with the Canes or something. Maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
And yeah, like I don't know.
I don't even remember.
I think it was. And I don't know, like I went to like the stadium game with like the Sharks and the Ducks forever ago, and like that was a good
Is it
experience.
the Kings?
Was it the Kings? It's one of the SoCal teams. And it was at Levi Stadium. Like I could barely see the ice, but you know, it's like we were up in the nosebleeds. So, and like the ice is like so tiny. And I'm just like, you're here for the experience, I guess. Like, but outside of that, like I haven't tuned into an outdoor or heritage game. Like I think the jerseys, if anything, are nice. But outside of that, like
The beanies are cute.
yeah.
You know when the goalies wear the beanies over their masks?
Oh, I love that. Or like when they have like the copious amounts of eye black, but then they have like a toque on and like sunglasses, and like, yes, you're out there fighting glares for all of us.
I mean, I don't know. I would like to go to an outdoor game one day. Like if they came back to Tahoe and did one with the Sharks. Yeah, I'm
So,
still bitter
like-
about that.
So that makes me think of like the Utah like game that they had earlier with the Sharks and the Kings. Like I think that's good for at least like promoting in areas that don't have a team and things like that. But yeah, like I don't really tune into the heritage
Imagine-
or the outdoor much anymore.
Imagine an outdoor game on the Salt Flats.
Yes.
It'd be so reflective.
Everybody's
Nessa
just
just
out
wants
there
to
with
watch the world burn.
I
She
mean,
just wants to see the players crash into each other because they can't see anything.
like bumper cars.
everybody's taking slap shots to the face because they're losing the puck off the surface. Just,
Oops.
oops. They all have to wear the bubble. Fish bowls for everybody on the salt flats.
All right. We need to talk about Jesse. We need to talk about Jesse. Jesse Puljujärvi. Freaking amazing.
Slayed.
He crushed it. He really, like, hands down, Picasso. That's a masterclass right there.
So for our audience, I have to bring up my initial reaction when I came across it on Twitter. I assumed that he was the guy on the stairs, because there is absolutely no way, just with the state of hockey and hockey bro mentality, like there was no way that he could be Ice Spice. There's just no way. And then when I zoomed in, I was like, holy shit.
My initial
She
thought,
looks great.
when I seen that picture, my first thought was, well, that's illegal in Florida. Like, it was
Where does he play?
Right now he's unsigned.
Oh, interesting. He should get signed just for this. I don't know, man. He looks great. I'm just saying. I was like, oh, yes. You work it.
I thought he crushed it. I couldn't believe it was who I was looking at first. I was like, did you look at that crop top? Look at that. Like, even, I don't know a thing about makeup, but his looked fantastic. I was like, you work it, brother. You work. I loved it.
Listen, we all support hockey players doing drag for Halloween.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever worn a skirt that short.
I
I definitely haven't.
Never. So
It might have been that short, but I was like 4 years old, you know? Like, it fit me like a regular skirt.
I love that it was like the denim skirt too, with like the really like sort of audacious fishnets that he had going on. Like, good look. It was a good look.
15 out of
80s
10
music
commitment.
video. Yes.
Who's that behind him, though?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I don't know.
At first I thought it was Pete Davidson. I was like, that's definitely not right.
Like, who is he doing this costume with? Who is that guy?
Nessa needs the gossip.
There's
There's a further story behind this.
I need to know some things. I have questions. Anyways, this was fun. This was a nice little highlight in such a bleak week.
All right, Nessa, I need your thoughts on, did you watch the Minnesota Wild's ASMR thing? Because, okay, context, Nessa loves ASMR.
It relaxes me, okay?
And I couldn't get through this video. It was nails on a chalkboard to me. I was like, I'm having an anxiety attack right now. I need to move away from this tweet.
And I am complete opposite. When I'm anxious, I will listen to ASMR to calm my nerves. There's actually a science behind this. I was listening to a science podcast once where ASMR is such an interesting thing, where there's people like me who find comfort and relaxation from listening to it. And then on the total opposite scale, like, there's people like Jay who absolutely cannot listen to it. It's like nails on a chalkboard. It aggravates them. Like, Chrissy's the exact same way. And it's like a legit thing. I don't understand why it's one or the other, and there's no in between. But I enjoy listening to ASMR when I'm an anxious mess. It's like, I don't know, I'll listen to people talk. It's like story time, you know? And I'm just like, okay, it's fine. They're talking very calmly. It's great. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
There's a warm cup of milk in her story.
Okay, ew, I don't drink milk. Just a warm cup of, or a hot cup of tea is fine.
I can't drink milk, so it's fine.
I know, I'm lactose. What do you mean? Um, so this popped up on my feed, I think yesterday. I was scrolling through and I was like, what is this? But I did enjoy it. Like it was like, huh, this is kind of relaxing. Like the tape and then the little scratches they were doing. Oh, I don't know. I thought it was funny that they
I'm
went through this whole trouble.
I'm like in this weird like the Minnesota Wild are growing on me in like this weird sort of way. And so yesterday, like as I'm almost coming out of the becoming wild like rabbit hole on YouTube, the ASMR thing comes up on Twitter, and I shamelessly watched that like a dozen times yesterday.
So you enjoy it too?
Yes,
ASMR.
absolutely.
So Drew and Nessa are team ASMR, and I am like cannot be in the same building.
I'm so sorry. I wish you could understand where it comes
Look,
from.
so
Because
I enjoyed chunks of it. Like before I saw the whole thing, I just saw the one with Flurry, and I just thought he was being so silly with it, and I enjoyed that part. But when I tried to watch the whole thing, I could not get past maybe like 10 seconds where I was like, I need to delete this from my life. Like I am like I can't even begin to describe to you the amount of like anxiety that it gave me. But I was like, no.
sorry. On behalf of the wild, I'm sorry.
I appreciate it for everybody who enjoys it, but I will not be consuming.
My favorite part about the whole video was like Kirill Kaprizov just like being in the microphone, just oi 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 oi. Like,
It's like, what are you? What? Oh, most of the dudes did a good job. Oh, that was good.
I enjoyed Flowers' bongos on his goalie mask. I was like, yes. I felt like that Michelle Obama gif, you know. I was like, I love this song.
Yeah. Anyways,
So on to the update in regards to Pride Tape ban. As we saw, Travis Dermott kind of like shook the hockey world with putting Pride Tape on his stick. He didn't tell anybody within the organization that he was going to do it, which I kind of commend him for taking that chance. Like, we know like most guys are gonna kind of like stay in line, and for most, like I will give them that there is a legit reason why they would be hesitant to do it, just with the nature and the current atmosphere with the NHL. Like, they're also kind of, especially if they're in a role where they're kind of fighting for a position on the team, like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, you're also trying to balance showing your support by keeping your day job. And so I always try to advocate for, like, you have your platform, you can continue talking about things and stuff like that on there. Like, I'm not asking you to put your entire career on the line for, situations like this, but I commend him for going about it, because as he's talked numerous times, it's something that's very near and dear to him, with people in his life being part of the community, and that kind of stirred up a continued discussion in regards to the NHL didn't even have anything in place for what if I go against that? Like, what are you going to do? So the NHL came out the next day being like, oh, well, we're going to discuss this because good question. We don't know what we were going to do. And then they talked with the NHLPA, they talked with the NHL Coalition. I can't remember the full name of it, which honestly, like, why did you not do that before? Like, why is this such an afterthought? And we saw on, I think it was TNT, right? The panel of what's his name, Anson Carter, go and listen to that when you get a chance, because he said a lot of good things and then he also said a couple of weird things, and it's kind of like one of those like, yeah.
Tell us more, Jay. Tell us how you feel about that.
Like as I said, like it makes sense that he's kind of like riding this fence because he's part of this like faction or organization or the coalition that the NHL put together, which looks eerily like the Hockey Diversity Alliance. Like they're trying to instill change and make an impact, but then that's the thing that I don't like about being like non-independent of the NHL, because you get discussions like this where it's like you have to thank Gary Bettman for like reconsidering. It's like, we don't need to thank him for anything. He's the one who did this in the first place, and he's saying like, oh, you know, he's always just has to think about, you know, the sport first and protecting the players. And as Nessa like said, like, protecting them from what? Like, you guys are like making this ridiculous deal over the optional pride tape. You made this whole situation all on your own, and we don't need to thank you for pulling your head out of your ass.
Right. Like, congratulations, you finally did the bare minimum. I mean, why weren't they consulting with coalitions or players? All of this, like, very proactive steps they did retroactively when it's just a matter of tactic of, like, saving ass at this point, right? It's like, well, now we have to cover all of our bases. Because I think if the NHL did what they probably really wanted to do, which was just cancel Pride nights, that was the only one that was giving controversy. They were like, well, that's a PR nightmare, so we'll cancel them all. But in doing so, now your whole thing was, well, we don't want controversy. Players should get the chance to choose their individual means of what, you know, they want to support or whatever. And then you come behind that with like banning Pride tape, which wasn't already like, that was voluntarily the thing to start with, right? Like that was already the player's option. So in this whole like, well, we want players to express themselves, but we also are going to take away the choice to express themselves. It got really like misconvoluted and like sort of just all over the place. And it didn't have to.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, and they try to cover it up as well, like, oh, it's all colored tape, but really it was pride tape.
Yeah.
That you had a problem with.
Black is a
And
color.
Like, right.
What color are they just not gonna have tape now? Is it gonna be transparent?
Just white.
I've seen players using blue tape for the Lewiston, you know, to draw attention to the Lewiston shooting.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah, and somebody was like, well, this doesn't happen without Travis Dermott's like defying the rule. And I'm like, what a stupid rule to have to defy anyway. Like, okay, I don't understand. This could have just been like, these guys could have went out there and just had blue tape, and now that could have just been the sole cause, but now that conversation still deflects to like how we had to break a rule to get there, which is like, what a migraine.
Yeah. Which, okay, so I saw what is she? Did she play the organ for the Ducks? Do you remember we talked about her last year? She's a trans woman that works for the Anaheim Ducks.
Lindsay Ember. I think that's how you pronounce her last name.
Okay. So Lindsay Ember, who is the organist for the Anaheim Ducks, she also posted about the team taping up their sticks with the blue tape because I believe she is from Maine. I don't know if she's specifically from the town where the shooting happened, but, you know, she praised them like, yeah, thank you for bringing awareness and all this. Like, it really means a lot to me. But I also wanted to tie this to the way the Coyotes handled their Pride Night that just happened a few nights ago, because, you know, Travis Dermott?
I think it's Dermott.
Wow. Travis Dermott, you know, he went through like this whole thing, this whole breaking the rules. He got so much attention for this. Everyone was excited to see Pride Night for the Coyotes because of what he did. And then there were some sketchy things that happened that night with the organization. The first thing I saw was they put up a post on Twitter promoting Pride Night. Like both of the team's logos were in rainbows. There was a whole thing that said Pride Night. It was Travis Dermott's face on there, and it was whatever. It was a cute tweet. It was, yeah, Pride Night. And then the team deleted it and reposted the promotion for the game. The logos were then in white. It was still Travis Dermott's face on there, but no mention of Pride Night. And then later that night, it was announced that Travis Dermott wasn't going to be playing because he was sick, which is weird, interesting timing. I don't know if he was, right? I don't keep up with the team like that. I just think it's an interesting timing. And then nobody on the team wore Pride tape, even though he was saying everyone was so supportive of him. And I wouldn't put it past the NHL to send certain messages to the teams that, the public doesn't hear about to pull something off like this. Obviously, this is just me being skeptical and like, but like there are certain things that we've heard about this league that it's icky. I don't like it.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of sketchy too. Like the thing when everybody started pointing out the fact that the Coyotes had posted something that wasn't Pride Night, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because just like a couple days ago, I was reading about like the CEO saying like we stand by the community and Travis Dermott's choice to use Pride tape. So I thought that was weird. And then last night, as I'm like looking through stuff, I realized Travis Dermott didn't play for this Pride Night game, and I'm like, well, we just went like from an interesting storyline to that's a convenient storyline. Like what? It makes you it's sketchy. I'd agree. Of course, I'm inclined to go down a rabbit hole time or two, but
all the conspiracies.
It just makes you kind of scratch your head though, because you're like, okay, like weird coincidences kind of all across the board, especially even after the Coyotes kind of like tucked away their marketing for Pride Night, which was really weird, especially considering like everybody at that point, like there was a whole outpouring of support for what the Coyotes were doing and what Travis Dermott had been doing. So it's kind of weird. Makes the things that make you go, yeah.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of what you guys are talking about, because when I saw how they changed their initial post and took away the pride and like the colors related to it and things like that, I started digging around for, well, are they gonna post anything about pride? Like that's one of the things that ever since they retracted from having the guys wear the jerseys on the ice, like I'm like, okay, well, what teams are gonna go the extra mile to still put out the amount of work that they're doing and advocacy and support for these different initiatives. Like, I mean, the Sharks like are doing a fairly good job on the NHL level, and then over also on the Barracuda, they're finding ways to grab that footage of the players coming in wearing the jerseys, and they're putting it out on the socials and things like that. So I was kind of hoping that, well, let's not think so deep into the skepticism of why they removed it. Like that in itself already feels strange. But the fact that the only photos that I saw, I think was, I think maybe somebody who is like a beat writer for the Coyotes. Those were like the two photos that I managed to come across just by typing in Coyotes Pride like in Twitter, and I did not see anything on the main Coyotes page in regards to it. I mean, the players did show up and walk into the arena with the jerseys on, but it felt very much like they were trying to, as an organization, not bring as much attention as I think everyone was expecting them to. So I don't really know how I feel about that outside of what is going on.
Yeah.
Seeing it from the outside, it's really frustrating because it to us it feels simple, right? Stand up for what's right, but we don't know the ins and outs of how the league operates. So we're not involved in that. We don't know what the league is threatening for these people. Like,
And to sort of like piggyback off of that idea, Nessa, we don't know if the organization, and I think it's crazy that we have to sort of consider this, but to be fair, I think, and equitable of passing judgment in these situations, there's a lot of crazy people in the world, right? And so, like, we don't know if the organization or if the league has experienced any type of threats or blowback or security or safety concerns that we may not know about, that the league may not be trying to, work up to fans in a panic. So it definitely is, like I said, there's a lot of coincidences. One of those things that make you go, and we may never really know the full ins and outs of the situation, but it is, it's still disappointing because in just like the span of the week, we went from like the top brass in the Coyotes organization saying like, we're going to continue to stand by the LGBTQ community. We stand by Dermot's decision. We're going to keep having these sorts of nights to like just a few days down the road. It's all of a sudden like, we don't talk about Pride Night. So we put it in the corner and lock it up and nobody sees it. As long as there's no pictures, it didn't happen. So it's kind of weird that that sort of turnaround happened in such a short time span too.
For sure.
I also wanted to ask your guys' opinions on what happened with Dumba's, what he said about the whole Pride tape situation.
Yeah. So I wanted to let folks know what he had said. So Dumba was asked about it, and he pretty much told the Athletic reporter Eric Stevens, why is this even a thing? Why did they have to do that in the first place? You'll never get the answers from them. You'll never get the answers for that. That's just something I've come to understand. They don't have the answers for a lot of things that they do. They follow and try to save face. The league's going to do whatever it wants to do, and they don't really think about the meaning behind things. He also said, I think they try to lay it out in whatever format it works out best for the league. And, Dumba is a co-founder of the Hockey Diversity Alliance, and he pretty much said in August 2020, the league is pretty much as always last to the party on these topics. So I have my little Dumba hat.
Yes.
It's been I'm happy that Dumba talked about this because after this past playoffs, I kind of took a huge step back from Dumba because as much as he is, like, I've got to represent and support my Filipino brother, but he's also an idiot sometimes. And he's an unapologetic idiot about being an idiot. To tell people what I'm talking about, he hit Pavelski in the first round, and as Sharks
almost
fans,
knocked his head off.
where it was like PTSD from when Pavelski went down during that first round against
Game 7.
Vegas. And so that on top of Dumba has done that before, and he's been, unapologetic about, like being hockey bro mentality about it. And I'm just like, I can't support you right now. Cause that's such a stupid response. Like, the guy, like, has a history of concussion, and you're just gonna be a dumb dude about it. So I've been coming around. I haven't fully gone back on board with supporting him, but this is definitely huge, especially because we've talked in the past about the Hockey Diversity Alliance and how, it like they're all about, raising awareness and advocating for, people of color. But then in the beginning, it felt like for men only. And then what is like your stance on queer people and things like that? It hasn't really been clear. And I still don't really know like what they're doing right now. But we know in the past, like, Dumba has not been shy to speak out on things.
Yeah, I think I'm still, like, great he says this, but then why didn't you wear Pride tape on Pride Night? Like, Are you only speaking for other causes that you support or all of them? I don't understand. It's kind of one of the things I've been kind of iffy about the Hockey Diversity Alliance. Like, obviously, I support what they're trying to do, right? They're like just standing up for and giving the people of color a voice, the people in hockey. But I've only ever seen them support the queer community once, maybe twice since their inception. It's not something that they actually care to talk about, it seems. So is it like, what kind of diversity are you really standing up for right now?
I get
So
that.
I mean, like, I don't. It's complicated.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, like going back to what Drew was talking about, like I'm not trying to put the Coyotes, like and say like how dare they not do XYZ, blah blah blah. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that we've heard from other sources in the past where it's like that could be kind of coming into play. The big brother NHL or even someone higher up than that. Like there's a lot that I don't want to just kind of talk blindly and be critical of. And like, yeah, like you said, like the HDA, like we're kind of wondering, like, who are you really advocating for? Is it for everyone, or do you have a certain demographic that you're kind of focusing on, which is fine, but it's like it's hard to just
It's hard to
sit
support.
back and like be okay with supporting blindly.
And that, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it's kind of hard to support, like, if it's Hockey Diversity Alliance, but you're only really thinking about maybe still an exclusive group of people that you're trying to stand up for. It's hard to support half-assed diversity too, right? Like, you can't just argue for a little bit, not all. Like, okay, like if you're gonna argue for like equal treatment of this group that you're advocating for, but then still discriminate against this other group that doesn't fit all the characteristics, so like you're already failing to deliver that promise of like inclusivity and diversity. It's like you can't. That's something that you don't. I think the league obviously does great at it, but it's not something that you kind of like tiptoe in, and just kind of like dabble until it's lukewarm and call it good. Like, yeah, put in a real effort.
Definitely.
Hockey is frustrating in many ways.
So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on the discussion about decentralizing the draft.
I don't have thoughts because I don't really understand it.
Okay, so basically what happened is the NHL teams had, I guess they had a discussion about it, and majority of them support decentralizing it in a way that there will no longer be like the big event of every all the teams and their main personnel come to this one location and have this big like deal about drafting players. It would it was either that or deciding to shift to a draft similar to how the NFL and the NBA conduct business, with the team personnel remaining in their home markets while the prospects gather in one location. Now, one of the main reasons for this shift is just there's a huge lack of teams that were putting themselves out there to be a host, because in the past it hasn't really benefited the host team. So they're doing all this hosting, but then they don't kind of get like the what do you call it? Like the only thing I can think of is the benefit. Like, it doesn't help to flourish the team doing the hosting. So whatever happens, it's likely not going to be implemented before 2025. So if it does, shifting to a decentralized draft would result in, quote, significantly unquote, reduce club travel and lodging costs, according to the NHL's memo on October 18. The other potential benefits listed were, quote, significant opportunities surrounding draft day fan events and related activities in each club's home city, potential additional local revenue opportunities, and an increase of number and type of venues and city/community options available in which the league could plan and conduct draft day proceedings.
Draft too expensive. LOL. Bye.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah.
We can't afford this fancy soiree anymore, you guys. The shindig's got to be at home.
It doesn't really affect me. Like, I don't do what you will.
I'm never gonna walk on the draft stage. I'm still gonna boo Gary from my house. I mean, like, he's not gonna stop that from taking place.
That's funny. I don't know. Like, I don't even watch the NFL drafts or NBA drafts, so I don't really understand how they work. They do seem really fancy, though. They have a lot of money for their drafts. I'm not sure the NHL will ever get to that level.
They just catch like all the teams in like a conference, like I think like the New England teams that are in like a close proximity to each other. Catch them at Applebee's 3 years from now, just like they've rented out the conference room for the draft night. The 16th overall pick comes down. He's got a plate of chicken tenders and like a steakhouse mac and cheese. Welcome to the league, kid.
Yeah. I have seen a lot of people being upset at this decision. Like, if they get rid of it, it's like, it's the only thing the league does right, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay. But, like, I feel like there's... What?
If the draft is the only thing that we can agree they do right, like, maybe we should start looking at the rest. I feel like that's... The draft's the only thing we can depend on here. It's like, I think maybe there's bigger problems.
But then also, it's like, it's so long. Like, if they shrink it down, does that mean it's going to take less time to announce the draftees because they're, walking to that stage isn't going to take so long? They're not bringing their entire entourage.
The longest Zoom meeting ever.
When I'm only paying attention to like the top 20 and then I zone out for the rest of the meeting. Yeah, sounds about right.
It just feels like such a silly thing to be upset over. There are other things going on in this league that y'all can be worried about.
So I think we're in consensus that it's like, sure, whatever. Like, if anything, like, I would look forward to, well, what will they do in each host city? What will each team do to kind of like bring in a sort of like a all-star fan sort of experience? Like, I think if anything, like, that could be beneficial for every team versus a team like you've got the rotating, like kind of like the original six in relation to like Heritage Classic. Like, if it was only at like 6 locations because those are the only 6 teams that want to bother being hosts, I can see that being like, well, that's no fun. Like, I don't want it to always be in Vegas.
God, how much does this league love Vegas? I'm so sick of hearing about them.
I can't wait till they give the, we get like the second iteration of the Atlanta Thrashers and they're holding like the 2028 draft at a Waffle House. Just the expansion draft happens at the Waffle House. You get 2
I would
chocolate chip
tune
waffles.
in for that. Lean into how ridiculous this league is.
That sounds fun. Like, I would probably attend that. No,
I would be there. If they're drafting like an enforcer, what better test than to like put him against the person working in the kitchen at the Waffle House? Know your role, my guy.
Wow. Oh boy.
All right, let's move on to how bad the Sharks are. Let me give some context to the next thing we're looking at here is a tweet that was put out by J Fresh Hockey. I initially zoomed into this photo because I thought maybe the maybe the Sharks are under all these overlapping teams. I did not realize the Sharks were way down in the lower left-hand corner behind the negative defense section. Negative offense and
too.
negative defense. And I went, oh, that makes sense.
They're almost exactly in the corner. That's how bad their numbers
We are pretty close to not being on this graph.
It's so depressing.
Like, I did not get to tune in, like actually watch any of the games this week with their being on a road trip and things like that, but I listened in for a number of periods, and it sounded pretty bad. And at one point, we got shut out. I don't remember anymore.
Two
Two
games
shutouts. Okay.
They haven't scored since Wednesday, I think.
It's been 84 years.
It feels like it. Oh my gosh.
I just want to say, as much as we've been told Mackenzie Blackwood is going to disappoint us at some point, he's going to reel us in and disappoint us, I don't have time to bother with that because the team as a whole is disappointing Mackenzie Blackwood.
Okay, do you remember how last year we referred to this team as the San Jose Erik Karlssons? There was a reason for that. The team was really bad, but Karlsson was he scored 40% of the points. Of the entire team. The dude was the team. Now that we don't have him, we see exactly how much he contributed to all those haters out there. We knew this team wasn't going to be good coming into the season. Everyone was talking about it. We had a little bit of hope, oh yeah, the locker room seems good. Maybe we'll see. The first 2 or 3 games, they looked pretty good, even though they lost. They had some fight in them. And then it just went downhill from there, really, really quickly. The last game I watched was, I think I tuned in for a little bit of the Tampa game on Friday. And was it Friday?
Sure.
Thursday.
All I know is Victor Hedman was having one hell of a game, apparently.
No, they played Thursday and Friday. Thursday was Tampa, Friday was the Canes. So on Thursday, I was tuning in here and there. I had it in the background while I was doing something, and I don't know this team. We've seen them play bad before, but right now they just have absolutely no fight in their game. They don't seem like they want to be out there. They're just skating around for 60 minutes just to skate around. That's what it feels like. I didn't watch the game Friday or I didn't even listen to it, but it was more of the same. I heard the only highlight was William Eklund, Slippery Pete.
Slippery Pete.
Some articles I saw posted, I didn't read them, but I saw some people writing about how even though the team is doing really bad, his game is getting so much better with each game that he plays, and that's nice to hear. Can he score a little?
Where an Erik Karlsson falls, a Slippery Pete rises.
He slips up to the top. Oh no, it's a frustrating time to be a Sharks fan.
I say Godspeed to you both, because it sounds an awful lot like what I was witnessing as a Canucks fan last year, and not a good time. Not a good time. It's so depressing to watch your team, and especially when you have a couple, especially on the Canucks last season, a few guys that could contribute, and to watch them quit, just seemingly quit, and not have any get up and go. That is the most depressing thing to watch, especially as a devout fan of a team. So I won't throw no shade. Instead, I'm sending sympathy for the Sharks right now.
Thanks,
get better.
I appreciate that.
Or don't,
Do what you will, but it'd be nice to witness a win this year. Oh boy.
Sad.
So, Drew, I want to get your thoughts on last night I tuned into the Canucks and Rangers game, and it only hit me that we were like indirectly watching the game together when I saw you were tweeting about the Canucks, and I was just like, oh, well, sorry, Drew, I'm rooting against you, and this feels a little weird. And if anything, I have to say it was a fun game. I haven't been able to watch a fun game in a while.
I'm so upset.
But I wanted to bring up the fact that I felt for you when that trip didn't get called. But I'm wearing this shirt today because my guy, Keandre Miller, because every time he scores, I am reminded that he was taken after Ryan Merkley in that draft. And I cannot get over the situation.
I feel like that somebody call an ambulance meme right now. Just,
but not for me.
No. Listen. No, 3 for me right now. I'm so upset. I'm so upset. So upset. I'll say it again. I just want you guys to know I am so upset.
Are you upset though?
Just like so upset.
That game was wild. Like, how many penalties were being taken on behalf of the Canucks? Like, you guys shot yourselves in the foot. And listen, like the refs didn't call the play, but wow, penalty palooza.
But there was some soft calls though. There were some soft calls in that game. There were some terrible makeup calls. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm not mad. Like we fought through. Like it was 1-0 going into the second. We tied it up 1-1. Tyler Myers' shorthanded goal on the 2-on-1.
I was gonna ask you. I'm like, you didn't tell me Tyler Meyer does that side of shit.
He didn't tell us that he did that kind of shit. I was like, the world is definitely ending before 2023 because I just witnessed Tyler Myers do that on the shorthanded chance, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful rip. I was like, when he didn't pass it to Lafferty, I was like, way to go, Mizey. But then he scored. I was like, hey, way to go, Mizey. Like, where'd that come from? The most egregious non-call on Chris Kreider at the end of the game. What a joke. What an absolute joke. But
what a beautiful goal.
No.
My guy, Keandre Miller.
I'm so upset too because I just dropped him from my fantasy team.
Oh, give him to me.
I have Shesterkin, so I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, listen, my like in net, I'm doing great tonight. But then like I dropped Keandre Miller, and I was like, that's karma. That was fantasy gods. Like, drop him again, you chump. You chumped.
He felt that. He felt that, and I'm gonna show him. That's what he
personally.
thought. He did.
Yeah, and you know what? I took that non-call very personally as well. But I'll let it go. We play Nashville on Tuesday. I think we might get a chance of seeing the black flying skate too on Tuesday night. There's like the goalies were breaking in some black pads the other day, so I'm like, ooh, spooky jersey, spooky night. It'd be real spooky if we lose. Yeah, so I'm gonna fume about that still a little bit, like just until Tuesday. But hey, the Canucks, we fought back. We got a point, picked up a point, made it to overtime, had some beautiful chances in overtime.
Dude, the Rangers were my beautiful Mika Zibanejad getting that cut on his face led to a double minor, and the Rangers were like, we're good. You can come and try and score on us for like majority of that double minor. I was like, wow, like, guess no one cares. I guess they just want to hand this game to the Canucks on a silver platter, because what exactly are you doing? They even had to take like a face-off in the Rangers zone. Like, I was like, This is bad.
I was like, man, what, like, oh, how the tables have, like, the turntables, because, like, what was going on that double minor? But
bad.
The Rangers are probably, like, when I was looking at the NHL edge data, probably the most, like, statistically comparable to the Canucks. So that was, like, the one thing I took away from it last night is, like, the Canucks can hang, baby. We are a serious hockey team. We are a serious hockey team these days. Y'all put some respect on Quinn Hughes' name. Rick Tocchet, the angry thumb, put some respect on his name too.
Dude, that
Excuse me,
one
that's Captain Quinn Hughes to you.
That's right. It's Captain Firefighter Quinn Hughes too.
that one play he had, I was like, okay, Quinny.
Watching him skate is so beautiful. Like the things Quinn Hughes does, like I'm like, man, butter. It's like watching somebody just dance across butter, like so smooth. And
Like I think Jack Hughes did something similar a few games ago. So it's in the genetics.
It's top tier.
It's their mom. Jude likes to refer to their mom as Queen Ellen.
They've done a great job with the Hughes boys. I mean, all of them are like. I think last night was one of the only nights that all Hughes boys have had a point on the same game. It was the same night too, while they're all playing. It was like the first time that's happened. So I thought that was wild. And the biggest thing that we should all take away from the Canucks, the terrible, heartbreaking 4-3 overtime loss to the New York Rangers, is just 3 words: Elias Pettersson hip check.
That I
Beautiful.
felt that in my hips when he did that.
I came up out of my seat. I was like, "Yes, Petey, yes." I love it. I love a good hip check.
But we're looking forward to when he puts on a little more weight.
When he's not so small, you guys. When he's not so small. Just wait. When he puts on 58 more pounds.
Everyone move out of the way.
I love that that's still the conversation. Petey's out there like just running, gunning people at this point, and they're like, he's so small still.
So small.
So small.
Small.
Well, I'm glad you guys had fun. I didn't watch that game. I was busy. I was at the Barracuda game last night.
Ooh.
Yeah, so are you guys done? Can I talk about my experience?
I suppose.
Maybe.
Okay. Oh wait. I'm just kidding. So yesterday was the very first of the 3 Tigres del Mar games that the Barracuda are hosting. And they did this whole block party before the game that I took my brother and his best friend to. Apparently it was their first hockey game, so fun.
I'm so sorry. I saw the score. I mean, I saw that they kind of started a comeback in the second, but...
Oh my god, yes, let me get to that though. So first, the block party. They were holding it in the back parking lot. I don't know if any of you, as if Drew lives out here. I don't know if you've been to TechCU Arena yet, or you've seen what it looks like around the area, but you know, it's like the arena.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It's
so
like an arena, bro.
Lot. Yeah, a little bit, but a small one, you know?
Right.
So they were having it in the back, and they had like tacos, they had churros, they had some paella in the back, which seemed out of place because it seemed like a very big Mexican celebration, and then you have paella in the corner. It was really weird.
But
drinks.
But the most important thing is, did they have pupusas?
No, because this was a Mexican celebration, I'm telling you. Everything was Mexican except for the paella.
You should have brought your own and put it on the table.
Oh boy. They even had lowriders there because that's very much like a big thing in like Latin culture. And then they had like a photo op spot. They had someone doing like fire burning. It looked like he was painting, but he was burning the wood.
Oh, magic.
It was really cool. I didn't see the finished piece though. And then what else? Oh, they had this whole purple carpet where the players would walk down for photo ops to meet the fans. They had performances of like these children dressed up in like traditional clothing, dancing to music from Coco. It was cute. I don't know. It was chill, but it was like nice. And then when you go in, when we were let in is when they gave us the pins. So I got this pin. This is the main logo that they made for the... Ooh, don't look at me.
Yeah, you gotta do the content creator hand thing.
Right, it says Tigres del Mar right on the bottom. It has the logo, which we have gone over before. It's gorgeous. And then they also had merch, which I didn't get because I'm trying not to spend so much money here. But they had hoodies, shirts. They had a really nice scarf, but it was like $40. And it's like, I can't afford that right now. I don't know. It just seems really cool. And then the game starts. Everyone's pumped. they come out, they're like flying, they're crushing bodies into the boards, they seem like they're alive. And then, as we know, the Firebirds, they were playing the Firebirds, they're one of the top teams in the league. So the Firebirds score a goal, and it's like, oh, okay, and they keep going, and they score another goal. I was like, oh. And then by the end of the first period, it's 3-0, and you're like, oh, okay. And then, but the crowd is into it, they're having fun. I think I was in the decent section because everyone around me, I don't know if it was their first hockey game, but everyone's like, yeah, they're like they're like, fight. There was no fights, but they're excited when they were here, the bodies crushing into the boards. They're like, score a goal. They'd be so sad when another goal was scored against. And then the second period, scored another 3 goals, and the Cuda can't score, and it's just like, okay, sorry, this is your first game, and this is what you witness. So, second intermission, I get up to walk around, because I'm freezing. I get so cold now, like, so easily, so we're walking around so I can get my blood moving, because I'm like a popsicle at this point. So my brother comes with me and his friend. We're walking around, and then the layout of the arena, they have a section where the guys come out from the locker rooms back onto the ice, and so they block that off when they're getting ready to go back in. And I didn't know this. We were just walking, trying to get back to our seats, and I was just like standing there like, I'm gonna give them fist bumps, I'm gonna be their good luck charm, watch. And so, oh my god, they all look so depressed coming out of that locker room. I mean, they were down 6-0, right? Like, it's understandable, but I'm like, okay, I just put my fist out. Some of them would fist bump me, some of them didn't. I got thrown in a shimmick fist bump. And then, so we go back to our seats, and the game goes, and Firebird scored 2 more goals, and you're just like, oh boy. And then the crowd starts chanting, just one. Like, they're losing so bad, but it was such a good crowd. Like, everyone was still so into it. And then Dan Augustin scores a goal, 3 minutes left into the game, and the whole place erupts with cheers. Like, everyone is so happy, like they even had a chance at coming back. It's 8-1 at this point, and everyone's like, yeah. And so the announcer is announcing like who scored the goal, whatever, and then comes the second goal, and everyone's like, yeah. It was so funny. And then the people behind me were like, just 6 more goals. There's like 2 minutes left in the game at this point, but I mean, they didn't play good at all, but it was a fun game.
I love the just one chance, and then they get the and they're like, there's a chance.
Just give us one goal, like, ruin the shutout. Oh, I do have a complaint though. So when I go to hockey games now, I try to get sensory kits because I get overstimulated with loud noises now, which is why I don't really attend hockey games as much anymore. I usually carry around my own earplugs. Like, I have this brand called Eargasm earplugs, which the ones that I have like a little slide on them to make it even like more quieter, like to cancel out the noise. But I also like to get the sensory kits because they come with the really big noise canceling headphones, which I drew when I went to the Avalanche versus Kraken game out in Denver for the playoffs last season. I needed to wear both of them because the arena got so loud. It was ridiculous. So I was like, I've never been here. I don't know how loud it's going to get. So I went before the game to ask for a sensory kit. First of all, they were not prepared for anyone to come in and ask. They didn't have any on them. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So someone had to go get them, brought them back, and they gave me this bag to keep. And I was like, to keep? That's interesting. Thank you. And I look in there and I'm just like, oh, these sensory bags are geared towards children. Okay, they don't come with the headphones, which is why you get to keep them. So I was like, well, I wanted the headphones. That's the whole point of me asking for them. But okay. I want to show you what came in this thing. First of all, you get a Cuda classroom workbook. Okay, it's cute. There's one. You do get earplugs. They gave me 2 in here, so you get the little foamy ones.
I was
You can
hoping they were
shove
gonna
it
give
in.
you like some over the edge like headphones that have like giraffe or like cats or something.
No,
Sharks.
I would have accepted those. You get sunglasses because in case you get sensitive, which is I like that. I got free sunglasses. There's like this little toy thing. Like yeah, this makes sense.
It's something you
Um,
probably needed in an 8-1 game.
Yeah, exactly. Get a pack of tissues. You get 2 different kinds of wipes.
Also
You
for
got
the 8-1 game.
these ones and these ones. And then look at this little mini activity coloring book with crayons.
It's so cute,
Isn't it? And then they randomly threw in this banner.
Is it a paint company?
No, DW is Doug Wilson. This was it's a replica of the banner that they hung up at SAP Center. Plus this very, very teal cinch bag.
Ooh.
So if
Your
you have a
cute little-
child that has sensory issues, they have a cute sensory kit at this Texie Arena. I don't know if they have any adult ones. I didn't ask. Like, they don't have the headphones that they have available at SAP Center, which is interesting. I feel like that's something that they do need to work on. But if you have a kid, I think you're covered.
Go to classroom.
Yeah. But that's my complaint.
It was nice that they threw in the Kleenexes though for
Yeah.
for the 8-1 game. It's
And if you get really, really sad about those scores, like, what did I pay money for this?
I really wanted to be that they put those in specifically for this game.
Like they knew?
And you might need this.
Oh my god.
But if you put the sunglasses on, you can pretend you can't see what's happening.
Yeah, actually. Oh my.
Maybe if you put on the sunglasses, you can chase the channel.
Or just turn it off. Just it's fine, I'm done.
You got little blinds that
Oh,
come
look
down.
at this. Oh boy.
So are we moving on to the OL reign?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to kind of end this episode with we didn't get around to it today, but there was this article that was circulating throughout the week in regards to why the NHL is one of like the major sports organizations that are like leading the charge for inclusivity. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, I think you can kind of gather our opinions in relation to that. But one of the examples, and I know there was like some conversations also happening where I think the article was mainly talking about the men's side of major sports. So in regards to the women's side of major sports, even though the Bay is getting our own Bay FC for the NWSL, I've been a longtime supporter of the OL Reign. The Reign do a ton of great stuff to not only advocate for the community, they also have several queer folks on the team. Fishlock, Rapinoe, she's been on the team forever, on her way out for retirement. Quinn, a lot of great representation. They also lean heavily into that, not only like in a way where they're like using them as like poster folks, but they also get the entire team involved in it, which I think is very important. On top of they do a lot of community work, not only for the queer community, but other, marginalized communities in the Seattle area. And one of the things that I saw that they did recently is they paired up with the Barber Collective and Queer City Sports, and they invited fans to come and get free gender-affirming haircuts and a chance to meet Megan Rapinoe. Like, just speaking from my own experience, like, coming into myself, like even in like my, I came out as queer in my 20s, but as far as like my sexuality is concerned, but I didn't come into myself as a non-binary person until maybe like a decade later. But regardless of that, like things like a gender affirming haircut, like even just going into a regular barbershop can be so intimidating because you don't want to have to be like, hey, I don't align with the gender that, I was assigned at birth. And folks come in immediately, they'll catch on that, I was assigned female at birth. When I ask for a super short haircut, they immediately like freak out, being like, are you sure you want that? Blah, blah, blah. And it took like several visits to a barbershop for me to finally start speaking up and being like, no, cut it the way that I literally showed you a picture. I wanted this on top, a 3 around, around the sides and the back. And it's like, people are so scared to do that. And then they end up giving me something like a pixie cut or like a more like feminine style to this short haircut. And over time, once I started finding a barbershop or a hairstylist who understood where you were coming from, and when you ask for something and they give it to you exactly how you want it and no questions asked, it's such a, it takes the weight and anxiety off of going into a barbershop, a salon. Like I could go on and on about that experience, but this in itself, I think is just so important. And I just wanted to raise awareness of how important it is to have a safe space where you can get gender affirming haircuts.
Yeah, I love that. I love that the team does it. That's awesome. Because I remember being a trans guy and being, 15. My dad was kind of really weird, never let me cut my hair. So, like 15, 16 years old, my dad wasn't the part of my life actively. And so my grandma was like, hey, do you want to get your haircut? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going as short as I want. And it was weird. I walked in there with like a picture of David Beckham, and the lady was like super insistent on giving me the Ellen. Which is like, and you're in your mind, you're going into that sort of situation, like, and you're like, oh, this is like, I'm gonna rock this haircut. This is gonna like make me so fulfilled. And then when you have a hairstylist that kind of takes those genderized sort of liberties, and it can do a number on the confidence and the self-esteem, because you come out, you're like, this is the exact opposite of what I was trying to achieve. So I think that's cool. It's something super simple, and hair, for the most part, grows back. They're pretty good about having technologies to help people continue to grow hair. So like if it doesn't go the way that you wanted it to, you can always just ride it out and get it restyled. Super simple. I like it.
Yeah. I've never had to have gender affirming haircuts. But in a way that I can relate is that I have cut my hair short. I can't remember the first time I did. I think it was 2 years ago, 2021. I chopped literally all my hair off for the very first time in my life. It was something I felt like I've been wanting to do for many years. I just never had the guts to do it because, growing up in this, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or it's just my parents, they're always like, I love your beautiful long hair. You should keep your hair long. The shortest I would get, it would probably be shoulder length, and it was always layered just because it was like the easiest thing for someone to do. And I liked it. It was fine. But there was something about that year where I was like, I want to change. And I shaved it off, basically. Like, completely all on the sides. I only had hair, like, on top. And I was like, I think I kind of like this. Like, my head can breathe. I don't have to worry about, my hair getting everywhere. And it felt good. I don't remember if I got it cut again after, but I did end up letting it grow out when I was in Vancouver, because I didn't know where to go to get my hair cut after that, and I was like, I don't know. And then I went again earlier this year. Again, shaved it off, but this time I went to a lesbian. She cut my hair like, at a barber shop. And it's just like, she asked a lot of questions about what it is that I wanted, how I wanted it to look. She was like, in my opinion, I can try doing something close to this, but the way that your hair grows in, it'll look better if I do it this way, you know? I was like, okay. And I trusted her, and it was just like, it wasn't exactly the haircut I wanted, but it still looked good. Because
Yes.
like, I guess the way my hair grows in wouldn't have looked right the way that I wanted it, right? But I also have seen this post before where it's like, queer folks are really good at cutting or doing people's hair because, you know, if I think it's a lot of us go through these things where when we go to the to barber or hair salon, we ask for what, you know, hairstyle we want, and we don't get that from straight people all the time. Like you guys were talking about your experiences. But when a queer person is cutting the hair, it's like, I've been through that. I know what it's like. I want to give you the haircut you want.
I've always thought it was so interesting because like hair really is like there's a part of town here in Jacksonville where it's way more inclusive, and like me and my mom were in the neighborhood. There's like 3 or 4 like pride flags in front of like 2 or 3 different salons, and I was like, oh, I bet they do a great job at cutting hair in those salons. And me and my mom were discussing this. It's kind of crazy because I think almost like throughout the whole LGBTQ spectrum, no matter where you fall in that, like your hair really does become a part of how you express yourself and like like an extension of that individuality or those boxes, you know, like whether you're trying to fit yourself in a box or society is, but you know, wherever your label is at, like the hair, like hair really is like so inherently like intimate as part of our expression in the LGBTQ community. I think that's cool. It's like that shared things, no matter what your journey is or who you are, where you're at, you can kind of always relate to like a really awkward, unsatisfying haircut scenario. And now you're like, now I'm like super, like everybody I know that's in the community, we're all super selfish with our hairstylists. We find one that gets it, and that's like the only person we go to for the next 30 years.
Yeah, and it's important because like when you actually get the haircut you want, you can feel how much more confident you are. And it's funny because I didn't even notice it before, but my roommate even said, "You're a lot more confident when your hair is shorter." And I was like, "Am I really?" Like I didn't even She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, I'll chop it off again."
Yeah, I could go on and on about this topic, but like when I was going through my journey, even before I had words to put to how I was feeling, like I spent actually most of my life has been with short hair. Like when I was growing up, my parents would keep my hair short and my sister would have long hair. I don't think I ever really said I wanted my hair short. I think they just kind of like for a while I was like, "Do you secretly want me to be a boy? Like what is I don't know what," because one time I asked if I could grow out my hair, and I don't remember who said it, but they were like, "You want to grow out your hair?" Like I'm like, "Oh, is that not cool?" Like I don't, but um, yeah, but like even before I had words to really express like how I was feeling, I never really liked people bringing so much attention to how pretty I looked because when I grew out my hair and then I was still playing sports, I always had to put it up in a ponytail because I'm like, it's in the way. Like I don't know, I don't even know how Mika like skates around with like his hair out. Like that would be so distracting to me. But yeah, when it be down, like people be like, "Oh my god, did you cut your hair? Oh wow, it looks so nice." And like I just didn't really like the attention. But it's like when I cut my hair short again, like people have a different perspective of it. Obviously, people who kind of like see me as who I am will be like, "Wow, you're looking handsome." And I was like, "Oh." And in that context, I liked having attention to how I looked and how I presented myself. But over time, like there's people who would be like who knew me back in like high school when I grew it out, and they'd be like they'd see a photo of me and they would make a comment about it. And nowadays I kind of tell them like, that's great that you think that about me, and I have nothing but love for that time in my life where I think I felt like I felt pretty, and I don't regret it, but I don't like how you favor that more and highlight that more than how I am today, where there's no way I would ever go out and present that way. And now in my life, I'm in my truest authentic self. And it's weird when people bring attention to how like attractive and whatever they feel to somebody. I'm like, that is like the furthest of who I am. It's just very strange.
I'm not cutting my hair for you, so you can find me attractive.
Right.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I think sometimes when people make mention of that, I just want people to kind of consider the context behind how you are commenting about it, I guess. I don't know if I'm like wording it the right way, but I don't mind you saying it's a pretty photo, but when you kind of give more emphasis on that being more attractive, it's like, yeah, but I just feel like in that way you're kind of telling me that nowadays you don't find me attractive.
Right. It's like
weird.
a backhanded
It's like you're
compliment.
attracted. Yeah, it's weird that you find that who is like the furthest from my authentic self as attractive, but then you don't give me those same compliments with now of how I like live my life.
I get that. I like it's always the craziest thing too is like when somebody compliments you, like, and instead of just saying like I like your haircut, they're like, oh, you look good with like X, Y, and Z. When I get like the same haircut like every time, so now when somebody says that to me, I'm just like, yeah, I know, like that's why I keep cutting it this way, thanks. Like
Thought that was obvious.
right. Clearly.
People are interesting.
People are different.
Stop trying to insert yourself in here. Anyways, that's all we have for today.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, everyone. As always, I am your host, Jay.
Co-host Nessa.
And the other co-host, Drew.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.